And with that effect, you should know what's coming up next. That's right, American Football News. The NFL edition is continuing on with a recap from Week 16 and a look ahead to the final season or final game in the 2018-2019 regular season. We'd like to take a time right now to wish a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays to all our listeners and to all of those around the world. If you celebrate some sort of holiday or festival, or just simply take it easy at the end of the year in December, we wish good things for you and your family and your loved ones, and to remind everyone to have a safe New Year, be smart. Let's get out of 2018. Let's move towards the 2020s and continue our way of life. But right now, we're talking about the NFL, and we're talking about the second to last week of the NFL. If you're watching any games this next weekend, you're going to catch the very, very end of this 2018-2019 campaign. The pretenders have fallen behind. The contenders have emerged, and a couple of champions have also emerged, looking to secure their spot early and get a home field advantage going for themselves here as the NFL playoffs loom in the next couple of weeks. But right now we're talking about Week 16, and we're going to take a look back at some of the games from last week. The Tennessee Titans continued their winning ways, this time over the Washington Redskins, 25-16. The Los Angeles Chargers, who were on a bit of a win streak, finally were humbled by the Baltimore Ravens this past weekend. The Ravens defeating the high-powered Chargers 22-10 to help secure their spot in the AFC North. The Cleveland Browns, also an AFC North division team, defeated division opponent Cincinnati 26-18 to improve their overall record this year and actually give themselves a chance to possibly slim chance of getting into the playoffs this particular year. We continue over to the NFC. The Dallas Cowboys defeated the Tampa Buccaneers this past weekend, 27-20. The Lions blew up like they normally do, losing to the Minnesota Vikings in spectacular fashion, 27-9. The game of the week really wasn't the game of the week, but if you watched this game, you would have thought the Super Bowl was being played. Eli Manning and the New York Jets took on Andrew Luck and the resurgent Indianapolis Colts, and this was a back-and-forth game. Good defense, good offense. It was a shame that it had to end and somebody had to win. And in this particular case, Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts were the victors and came out on top, defeating the Giants 28-27. Jacksonville finally gets back into the win column this year, a rarity in 2018. This time they add the Miami Dolphins to the menu, defeating them 17-7. The New England Patriots took on the Buffalo Bills this past weekend, a game that nobody expected the Buffalo Bills to win, and they didn't. The New England Patriots did what they had to do and then kept their foot down and took a little bit of a break. Closer game than you would expect, but the score is not apparent of the play. New England wins 24-12. Move over to one of the higher scoring games of the past weekend. The Green Bay Packers, who are statistically eliminated from the playoffs, took on the New York Jets, who also are statistically eliminated from the playoffs. And again, these two teams played like it was the Super Bowl. Very high-scoring affair. This game even went into overtime. Aaron Rodgers and company putting on a show. Sam Darnold and the New York Jets just trying to hang around. But when all was said and done, the Green Bay Packers were able to secure this win in overtime, 44-38. Continuing with the Philadelphia Eagles' magical end-of-the-season run, just like last year, the Eagles took on the red-hot Houston Texans, who are looking to make the playoffs for the first time after a lengthy departure from the playoffs. I believe it's been about 4 years since the Texans were even in the conversation for the playoffs. The Philadelphia Eagles fighting for their lives. The defending Super Bowl champions have underplayed this year tremendously and need to win out in order to get back into the playoffs, just like last year. And so far, they seem to be doing just that. Last week was a very close game on Sunday night. They pulled out the win, this time taking on the Houston Texans. And again, this was a very close game. But the Eagles are continuing to win and continuing their bid for a back-to-back playoff appearance. This game came down to the wire. Very, very good game. Final score 32-30. Move over to the Falcons and the Carolina Panthers. Neither one of these teams have performed the way that any of the professionals or the gurus of football predicted. Falcons win in a rout 24-10. Los Angeles Rams get back into the win column after dropping 2 straight. This time they add the Arizona Cardinals to their list of victims, absolutely running them over 31-9. The Chicago Bears, a defensive team. You don't have to put up a lot of points if you're a defensive team, and that's just exactly what they did against the San Francisco 49ers. They kept San Francisco to single digits and put up just enough to get ahead. Chicago wins 14-9. One of the better games of the week. This one was a prediction by a close friend of mine. At the beginning of the year, he said, look, at the end of the year, when everything's done, it's going to be the Steelers and the Saints playing in the Super Bowl. And if this was a look into the future of things to come, we could be in for a treat. Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints took on the high-powered Pittsburgh Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger and the Steelers fighting for their playoff lives at this point in time. Things have not gone well for them towards the back end of the season, and right now they're on the outside looking in. They need a couple things to happen for them in order to get back into that picture. Drew Brees and company, however, firmly in the driver's seat, pushed around the Steelers a little bit in this game. Pittsburgh fought back, but ultimately fell short. New Orleans won 31-28. Move ahead to the Sunday night game. The Sunday night game featured the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs kind of trending downward a little bit towards the end of the season, not quite able to get things in rhythm like they were at the beginning and the middle of the season, sort of a win-loss scenario. Seattle, on the other hand, playing very, very well after stumbling big time at the beginning of the season. But Russell Wilson has found himself again, and he's the reason why this team is good. Seattle ends up winning a close game against the Chiefs, 38-31. The final game of the week came on Christmas Eve and was an okay game. Featured the Oakland Raiders, not the best team in the league, taking on the Denver Broncos, also not the best team in the league. But these two teams put on a good show for Christmas Eve. John Gruden and the Raiders were able to walk away with a victory, 27-14. We take a quick look at the playoff scenario. If they were to start tomorrow, the AFC wild card or the AFC picture would look like this. Kansas City, New England, and Houston have all punched their ticket to make the playoffs, as have the LA Chargers. Now, the only team that has any sort of home field advantage at this point in time in the entire playoff scenario is going to be the New Orleans Saints. However, Kansas City, New England, and possibly Houston are all looking to get that lucrative home field advantage on the AFC side of things. All these teams are reasonably close to one another, and all these teams just need one more win or one more loss by the right team to get that specific reward. Anyways, taking a look at the AFC division leaderboard, the Kansas City Chiefs are number one overall, sitting at 11-4, followed closely by the New England and Houston, who are both at 10-5 on the year. And rounding out the division leaders, the Baltimore Ravens. They crawled all the way back from the basement. I kind of wrote them off. Pushed Pittsburgh out of that number one spot and are firmly in control of the AFC North at this point in time. The wild card situation is even more tight. the LA Chargers have punched their ticket to make it to the playoffs this past year. However, they're going to play second fiddle to the Kansas City Chiefs. So really, there's only one wild card spot left. And right now, Indianapolis has that spot with the tiebreaker over the Tennessee Titans, who are in the same division and have the same record. And then right behind them are two AFC North Division teams, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns, who are both only a game behind Baltimore. So the AFC playoff picture is very, very wild at this point in time. And this upcoming weekend could be very, very important. There's nobody taking any breaks in the AFC this year. It's not a clear-cut division and not a clear-cut conference like it usually is. So this weekend could hold a lot of surprises. Switching now over to the NFC, we have the best team in the league and the only team that has home field advantage for sure throughout the playoffs. That is the New Orleans Saints, sitting at 13-2 on the year. They are followed closely by the LA Rams at 12-3. Chicago comes in at as the best team in the NFC North. They're sitting at 11-4. And then the Dallas Cowboys. Wow, I didn't think I would say that. The Dallas Cowboys are the division champions for the NFC South. Nobody saw that coming. They played very poorly at the beginning of the year, but have really straightened themselves out. They have a very, very good defense, and Ezekiel Elliott is running very, very well with the ball. Dak Prescott doing just enough to get by. This is a dangerous team, but again, didn't see them winning this division at the beginning of the year. Turn to the wild card spot. Seattle had, with their win last weekend, locked up their eligibility to make the playoffs. So really, in the NFC, there's only one wild card spot left as well, and that is an entirely different race as well. You have Minnesota, Philadelphia, and Washington all on the outside looking in, and any of those teams, win or lose, can take that elusive last wild card spot. Minnesota, I think, has the tougher challenge out of all of them, having to win out basically, and hope that Washington or Philadelphia also loses this next coming weekend. On the outside looking in, you have the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions. They're only a game out from that wild card spot. They have to win out just to make the playoffs. Followed right behind them are the Washington Redskins, who, with the right scenario, might be able to get into the playoffs, but looking at it from a statistical point of view, I don't think that they'll be able to do that. A lot would have to happen. I think Seattle, Minnesota, Philadelphia, and another one of the division leaders would have to lose in order for Washington to be pushed up into that elusive wild card spot. But either way, a very good weekend upcoming. A couple of the more important games to take a look at this upcoming weekend. Let's see here. The Los Angeles Chargers will take on the Denver Broncos Sunday, December 30th at 4:25. Catch that on CBS. The Oakland Raiders take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Not saying that Oakland's a very good team, but Kansas City could lock up their home field advantage possibly with a win over the Raiders. That game will also be viewed on CBS Sunday, December 30th at 4:25. The Chicago Bears take on the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings fighting for their playoff lives. This game can be seen on Fox, also on Sunday, December 30th at 4:25. Pittsburgh takes on division rival Cincinnati. That game also on CBS on Sunday, December 30th at 4:25. Lots of games on CBS, so be sure to check your local providers for game times and which game you're going to be seeing. Move over to Philadelphia and Washington. These are two teams literally fighting for their lives. That game is on Fox at 4:25 on December 30th. Move over to the AFC North again. We have the division-leading Baltimore Ravens taking on the Cleveland Browns. That game at 4:25 p.m. also on Sunday, December 30th. We're hoping Cleveland wins that game because it only hurts Baltimore and can only help Pittsburgh. Despite the fact that Cleveland and Pittsburgh went had a tie game this past year. And we round out our NFL season with a Sunday night game featuring the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Tennessee Titans. This is the best game of the day because whoever wins this game is going to go to the playoffs. 8:20 kickoff time scheduled for NBC. Be sure to take a look at it. Both these teams, 9-6. We're saying go Titans. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Only 7 seconds left. Thank you for taking the time to listen to American Football News this year, and we'll see you for playoff news.